Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Swami Sarvapriyananda on Vivekachudamani, Synopsis of Vedanta. Anyways, I'm not exactly sure what to expect, so I'm going to get started. I did skip the, I believe they were chanting, and I think this is the speech portion.
He who follows the body as one follows a shadow, and yet with no idea of me or mine in this body, he is called a Jivan Mukta, free even in this world.
So actually, you have finished Vivekachudamani. It's at the end of Vivekachudamani. This is the way in Vedanta we have at the end of the Vedanta text the phalam, the result. What do you get after Vedanta? What is Vedanta for? How does one get realization? The practices to be followed. And then finally, the result, phalam. What is the result of Vedanta? There are two ways of putting this. One is that we Hindus believe in a cycle of birth and death. That we have been born many times earlier and suffered in many lives until we come to enlightenment and realize that our true nature is Satchidananda, after which we are not born again. The whole game of life is over. We are no longer born in a limited body, having an individual life. That stops. So this freedom from the cycle of birth and death, Janma Mrityu Chakra, the freedom from that is called moksha. That is our traditional understanding of moksha. Not only in Hinduism, all the schools of Hinduism, also Buddhism, also Jainism, also Sikhism. It's freedom from the cycle of birth and death. Now, one may say that there are other births and I've been born in other lives and I will be born later on. That also is theoretical. How do I know? I know only this life. And other births will not be there in future. All that seems to be rather theoretical. So, the goal of Vedanta can be put in another way also. Suppose you doubt whether there are past lives and there are future lives. Especially in the Abrahamic faiths, they talk about only one life. So it will not make much sense to them, this whole cycle of births and deaths. In Vedanta, we speak about it in another way also. What is the result of Vedanta, the purpose of Vedanta? Moksha is understood as Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti Paramananda Praptischa. Complete cessation of suffering and attainment of ultimate bliss. Attainment of bliss and cessation of suffering. This is something that you need not believe in past lives and future lives and all of that. We suffer. It's a fact. The whole of Buddhism began with this fact, where Bhagavan Buddha says dukkha, the first noble truth. Four noble truths. The first noble truth is dukkha. There is suffering. So how does one overcome suffering? Overcoming suffering is the purpose of Vedanta and attainment of bliss, of genuine, lasting, profound joy and peace. And that is something that everybody can identify with. We can all identify with that. You don't have to believe in future lives, past lives and all that. Right now, right here, can I overcome sorrow and attain peace and joy? That is also relevant to what is going on here. Jivan Mukti. Advaita Vedanta is one of the few philosophies which says this attainment of moksha is not post-mortem. And after death, you will get moksha. After death, one will go to a place called heaven or Vaikuntha or Kailasha. No. Right here and right now, the result of Vedanta is attainable right here and right now. If you attain that result right here and right now, that is called Jivan Mukti. You are free while living in this body. This body is continuing and you have the perspective of being in a particular body. but still you are free of suffering and you have attained to complete peace and joy. That is Jivan Mukti. What are the characteristics of such a person? A natural question comes to our mind. Suppose I attain Jivan Mukti. Suppose I do that. What will be the difference between my life now and when I become enlightened? What difference will be there? What do I get out of it? How will I be different? So that question, the answer to that are these verses. In most Vedanta texts at the end you will find these verses, where the joy and peace of living in freedom will be discussed. Arjuna had this question at the end of the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava. O Krishna, you are talking about a Jivan Mukta, an enlightened person. So suppose I become enlightened. What will I be like? What are the characteristics of an enlightened person? Sthitadi kim prabhasheta. Enlightened person, how does that person speak? Kimasita brajeta kim. How does that person sit? How does that person move around? How does that person interact with others? How does that person meditate? How is it different from me, what I am doing right now? Basically the same question. Jivan Mukti. If you attain Jivan Mukti, what are you like? What is the condition of such a person like? While introducing that question, Jivan Mukti question, Shankaracharya in his commentary, Bhagavad Gita commentary, Shankaracharya, he raises this issue that to talk about a Jivan Mukta, what good is it to us right now? A person who is enlightened, Jivan Mukta, what good is it to us right now? What do we gain by reading it? Of course, it's very interesting. When I become enlightened, what will it be like? That's very interesting. But right now, if I am not enlightened, what good does it do to me to study the characteristics of an enlightened person? These verses you are studying. And then Shankara makes an interesting observation there. At that point in the Bhagavad Gita commentary, he says, Yani eva kritarthasya lakshanani Tani eva sadhakasya sadhanani yatna sadhyatva. Those which are the characteristics of an enlightened person, those very things are the practices for the unenlightened. Because by practicing those things one can attain it. I'll repeat. What all the things which are being discussed here, Shankaracharya says in the Gita commentary, these are the natural characteristics of an enlightened person. And for unenlightened persons like us who are sadhaka means we are trying to become enlightened, these things become wonderful practices. And by practicing these things, one can attain that state of enlightenment. So that's one important reason for studying this and thinking about this, the characteristics of an enlightened person. It's a beautiful verse. A lot of wonderful things are being said here. Vartamanepi dehasmin. In the body, but treats the body like a shadow. See, you're sitting here, the light is behind you, your shadow will be in front of you. You don't think that you are the shadow. You have a relationship with the shadow. It's the shadow of your body. If you're identified with your body, then you will say it is my shadow. But you are not the shadow. Come. So you are not the shadow. Exactly like that, the enlightened person treats his or her body. I am not this body. Is aware of the body, just like you are aware of the shadows, they are aware of the body. He says, Ahamta mamata bhava, does not have any identification of I am this body. Does not have any identification of I am this body. Not even this is my body. I and mine relationship is not there. You see, what ties us to this world right now? What ties us to this world right now? The fundamental thing which ties us to the world right now is identification with the body. Identification with the body, the term itself sounds very philosophical and it's a very visceral thing. What do you mean by identification with the body? If I am asked, who are you? I am this, here. Point to this thing. What is this if somebody asks? This is me. And we never even think of doubting it. Whatever happens to this is happening to me. All my calculations, motivations are around this. It's unquestioned for me that I am this body. In the Ashtavakra Gita, in the very beginning, the high text of Advaita Vedanta, very, very advanced text, Ashtavakra Muni says, Yadi deham prithak kritya chiti vishramya tishtasi adhuneva sukhi shanta bandhamukto bhavishyasi. If you can set the body aside, you can see the body as being apart from you, if you can see the body as being not you, and rest in pure consciousness, the witness consciousness. Adhunaiva, right now, now itself, adhunaiva, now itself, bandha mukta, you will be free from bondage, you will be moksha, you will have jivan mukti. When will you have jivan mukti? Oh Maharaj, after studying Vedanta for 30 years, meditating for 40 years, and doing so much puja and tirtha yatra and so many other things, maybe this life or next life or some time I will get. That's what I understand. Ashtavakra says, Adhunaiva, only one thing you have to do. You have to see that this body is not me. Immediately you will be set free immediately. Just now itself. What Ramana Maharshi and Vivekananda and others all attained, you will attain just now. Ashtavakra says, just now, right now.
I haven't paused just because there was not really how much I could say, but now there's a little bit something here. So essentially, to be enlightened, you merely, it's super easy, very easy. You don't need years of puja. You don't need to be studying the text. You don't need to do anything other than recognize the fact that you are separate from the body. Makes it sound very easy, but I see what it's trying to say. I'm wondering if there's anyone out there that has done that. Like for me, to ease my suffering, I do understand things. I do recognize my emotion is somewhat separate. When the emotion is very strong, it's kind of hard to separate it. But over a small period, like the last time I got kind of frustrated. It was a little bit difficult to separate myself from the emotion, but then I laughed at myself because I was frustrated and I was being frustrated, but I was still frustrated and I was laughing at my frustration. So, but is it true that you don't have to study anything? But if you can just separate yourself from the body, then you're liberated?
That's good. Then what ties me to the body? What ties me to the body? You say, I am the body. Are you? What connects you to the body? Our general idea is, without any reflection, we take it that I am a body, with awareness, with a mind maybe. First you have to reverse this. I am an awareness with a body. At least say I am a mind with a body, not a body with a mind. I am an awareness, I am awareness, I am consciousness with a body, or aware of a body, or using a body. How do you make that reversal? How do you reverse this? Question is, what is tying you to the body? What is tying us to the body? And the answer in Vedanta is very interesting. The answer is nothing. Nothing has bound you to the body. Nothing at all. In Hindi, when Swami was explaining the Himalayas, Beokufi matra, foolishness, stupidity. So where is it said? Whole book is telling you that. Only in more gentle philosophical language. Shankaracharya says, Ajnanam. Sounds polite. Ajnanam. Yeah, that must be something serious. It is binding me to the body. But Ajnanam means ignorance. It simply means, and if you translate it into Hindi, Beokufi, foolishness.
You know, I thought he said earlier that identities was tying you to the body, which I get, because, and also I do understand the fact that you've always been enlightened. So you don't realize, you don't. How is this put? It's like you're looking for the light bulb, a light bulb, so you can see, but all along you're a light bulb yourself. You don't realize that you yourself are enlightened. Because you believe that you yourself do not produce the light, so you must go find a flashlight or a light bulb, something to produce a light for you. You're always enlightened, but yet you seek enlightenment. You seek to be enlightened. You seek to reduce your suffering, to end your suffering. Not in the bad kind of way. But you've never suffered. It's kind of hard to believe to say that there's nothing tying you to this body or to this identities, and nothing, you're genuinely not suffering. It's really hard to say that. I mean, how do you, I get it, but I guess without context, it's kind of hard to explain that to someone who doesn't understand these things. I mean, even though I still suffer, and I do understand that, you know, your true self does not suffer, but it's hard. It's just about, I guess maybe it's because you're so aware of everything, at least to say to yourself, that when your body suffers, you're aware of that suffering. Therefore, you suffer too because you aware of the suffering. But the point is not to be unaware of the suffering, but merely to recognize that you yourself are not suffering. And they always go back to thinking of what Swami Sarvapriyananda here talked about in another video with Swami Vivekachudamani, talking about how Swami Vivekachudamani also still suffered even though he was enlightened. He still feels the pain. I believe Swami Vivekananda is an enlightened being. But yet he still suffers, he still feels the pain. So that's the question. How does suffering affect an enlightened being? Like, they still feel it, yes. I guess I don't know how to phrase that question. Maybe the talks between the doctor and Sri Ramakrishna, where it says this body feels pain, but he recognized that he is separate from the body, that the body itself is suffering, but he is not. It's hard to, in my mind, put that in a logical sense. How do you separate yourself from the body? Or not necessarily separate, but how do you not, do you not feel the pain, or do you feel the pain, but you just recognize that you yourself are not suffering, but you still feel the pain? I don't know if that's making any sense. It's a difficult way to question that. I don't know how to phrase that. You still suffer, you still feel pain, even though you're enlightened, maybe that. Or do you not suffer at all? Do you not feel any pain because you're enlightened? I don't know. That's a hard way to phrase that.
And I will show you now. It's that story of a person who went to a guru to get enlightened. I need moksha. I want to be set free. And the guru said, all right, when the time comes I will teach you, but right now you do this. Beta ye karo, to do this work, go and get some food for me, he was saying in the cave, clean the cave and do this, so many duties. So every day that young man would come to the guru and the guru would give him this work and that work and not teach him Vedanta, not teach him how to be free, give him freedom. So after a few weeks, that young man got very irritated. And he said to the guru, that unless you set me free, show me how to get free, mukti, moksha, I will not come here anymore. You're just making me work and exploiting me, I will go to some other guru. So the guru said, all right, now the chela will go away if he does not do something. Come tomorrow. Come tomorrow in the morning and take a bath, put on new dhoti and come. I will show you how to be free. He said, all right. Next day the young man is very, very eager. Now I shall learn how to be free. And he turns up at the guru's cave. Outside the cave there was this old tree. And he found the guru standing there, hugging the tree and shouting, set me free, free me, free me, free me. And the student said, Guruji, what is wrong with you? No, free me, free me, free me. And the student said, just let go. Just let go. The guru let go and he said, exactly.
I'm free.
Swami Vivekachudamani in his poem, Song of the Sannyasin, he says, thine only is the hand that holds the rope that drags thee on. Let go thy hold, sannyasi bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. You might say, oh, it is nice, I am ready to let go, but how? What will I let go? But letting go is a very subtle thing, because where is the connection? Physically, if you are holding on to a tree, you know what to let go. Where am I holding on to this body, if you ask this question? Where am I holding on to this body? It's a subtle thing. You are not physically holding on to this body. Not even mentally. You are holding on in concept, in understanding, in ignorance. It's in the understanding which has to be corrected. How? So any number of pointers are there in our Vedanta literature. In fact, in all the spiritual philosophies of India, except Charvaka, it's not a spiritual philosophy, but in all the other spiritual philosophies, in Sankhya, in Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, in schools of Buddhism, in Jainism, all of them, Sikhism, all of the spiritual teachers of India have said that you are not the body. You are not the body. And they have shown reasons why you are not the body. You don't have to come to Vedanta for it. Every one of them says that you are not the body, except Charvaka. Let me share 2 or 3. You know these things, you've been studying Vedanta, but one way is that, look, the body has been changing. It was born as a little baby, then it grew up to be a child, and then it grew up to be a teenager, a young person, a middle-aged person, a senior person. Body has changed so much from a little baby like this to what it is now. Mother also will not recognize if you put the 2 pictures close by. So much it has changed. But I feel I was the person in that baby, I was the person in the child, I was the person as a teenager, a young person, middle-aged person, old person. All of this young, old, middle-aged, teenager, baby, body. And yet I was the same. I was the same person there. I don't say the child was somebody else, the young person was somebody else, the old person is somebody else. I don't disown them. I say I was that. If I am the one unchanging person in all the changing bodies, the body changes so tremendously, then how can I be the unchanging, be the changing also? Look at the logical fallacy. I feel that I am unchanging, and I clearly see the body is changing. How can the unchanging and changing be the same? So how can I be the body? One, think about it. Two, it's an object of perception. This book, when you see that, the book is an object and you are seeing it. You are, in Sanskrit, drashta, the book is a drishya. You are aware of it. You are aware of the book. The book is something separate from you. Clearly. If you are aware of the book, do you become a book? See, what a silly question, Swami. You are aware of a tree, do you become a tree? Thank God, you don't. You are aware of a glass of water, do you become a glass of water? Not at all. Never it happens that what you are aware of, you become that. Never. Except in one case, the body. You are aware of the body, are you aware of the body? You say, yes, especially when there is a stomach ache, some illness, some aches and pains. As we get older and older, we are definitely more and more aware of the body. Body points out, I am here. They say a healthy body is the one which you are not aware of. Body will not make its presence felt. It will work. Like when you were children. Body was so resilient and healthy and full of energy, you never felt that you have a body. But as we get older and older, especially after 40, I found it difficult to read, so I went to the doctor. The doctor examined the eyes and he said, Swami, you have a bad case. I thought, what is wrong? You have a bad case of being over 40. You are suffering from being over 40. It is one of the surefire indicators of being over 40 is that you need reading glasses. The body points out that it's deteriorating. You cannot stop it. No matter how much yoga you do, how much gluten free you eat, it will deteriorate. Do you notice how almost with no care the body was okay when you were a kid? And as you grow older, 40, 50, 60, with so much care and effort also, body is not good. It's an object. It's an object. It's deteriorating. And I can see it, I can experience it. And yet I say, I am it. When you experience a tree, when you see a tree, don't say, I am the tree. But with the body, without any question, sometimes I say, I am the body. We don't generally go around saying, I am the body. But we speak like that also. We behave like that. What's your weight? Say 160 pounds or something, 180 pounds. Is 180 pounds the weight of pure consciousness? Weight of the body. What's your age? 60 years, 50 years. 50 years age of consciousness. 50 years age of mind. Or is it age of the body? Definitely age of the body, because you're counting from the time the body was born. So, age of the body, I say my age. Weight of the body, I say my weight. That means I think I am the body.
You could think of it as something like, I don't have a, oh, here we go. You can say, this is my pen. I'm not saying that I am the pen, but this is my pen because I own it. And I guess that could be a way to help people understand, like my weight, as in I own the weight. My age, as in I own the age. Doesn't really make sense there, but it is the weight, as in the body that you own, that you're temporarily leasing from the earth. The age is how old the body that you own is, maybe. I mean, that could be a way of looking. That's kind of That's kind of how I'll look at it, actually, because the example I would normally use is if you chop off a finger. It's like Sadhguru says, if you chop off a finger, is that you? It's like, no, that is my finger, but that's not me. So whenever I think of mine now, especially if I do my body, my hand, my eyes, my teeth, or whatever, I think of it as ownership as opposed to being me. And I'm wondering, it got me curious as to, how people use my body or my whatever. Do they see it as ownership or do they see it as themselves? I have a feeling it's a bit of both. It's depending on the context. So like if I chop off a finger, you say it's my finger. Obviously that's not me. But I get what Swami here is talking about. I think a lot of people, when we say my body, my whatever, it's generally going to be the I as opposed to my body. It's not the ownership, but you are that. But it's an interesting question to ask people. When you say my body, do you say this is me, or do you say that you own the body? I wonder if some people think like, oh, I can own myself.
Yet it's an object. That which is drashta, the seer, the experiencer, and that which is drishya, the experienced object, they cannot be the same. They never are in our experience, except with the body we say, I am this one. Second reason. What was the first one? Changes. I am unchanging. Your own experience. That's the interesting thing about Vedanta. It tells you with your own experience. Think about your own experience. I am unchanging, body is changing. How can I be the body? I am the seer, drashta. Body is seeing, drishya. How can I be the body? Another one. That I am aware, and the body is something that I am aware of. I am chetana, body is jada.
Subject
Jada
object.
means insentient, something that I am aware of. That example I showed. When you look at your hand, it's a simple experiment. When you look at your hand, what is your experience? I am looking at the hand. Your experience is not that the hand is looking at me. No, it's not cutting any ice with you. Each of these little pointers, they are arguments, of course, logical arguments, but these are pointers. Each of these pointers is enough for enlightenment to a sufficiently sensitive mind. The mind which is not sensitive, kya bola? What is he saying? Enough for enlightenment. I am the awareness, the body is not aware. You see, it's a simple experiment. It's our vivid experience. I am aware of the hand is not aware of me. Do you agree to that? No, many people not. Maybe the hand is aware of me, how do I know? I am asking you, don't bother about what you do not know. Vedanta does not bother about what you do not know. Vedanta is bothered with what you know. In your knowledge, is your hand aware of you or are you aware of the hand? No confidence. You are aware of the hand, is it not so?
Yeah.
You are aware of the hand. And the other hand? You are aware of the hand?
Yes.
Other parts of the body? If you want, you can be aware, you can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it, right? And the body is just a collection of parts. All of these parts put together is what I call my body. So any one part or two parts or three parts are not aware of me. So the whole collection cannot be aware of me. I am aware of them rather. So that is all I am saying. I am Chetana, body is Jada. Just take these 3 points. I am Nirvikara, body is Savikara. I do not change, the body changes. How can I be the body? I am Drashta, body is Drishya. I am the seer, body is the seen. How can I be the body? I am Chetana, body is Jada. I am sentient awareness, body is not sentient. Body is not aware of me. How can I be the body? How can a Chetana and Jada be the same thing? How can Drashta and Drishya be the same thing? How can Savikara and Nirvikara be the same thing? Nirvikara and Savikara be the same thing? They cannot be. I am not the body. Just take these 3 pointers and you meditate upon it. A clarity will slowly dawn that I am not the body. The body is there. I am aware of the body. He says here, chayavad, like a shadow. Wherever you go, your shadow is going with you. The shadow of the body. Similarly, in my awareness, the body is always there. But it's not me. The moment it is not me, enormous difference comes in your life. Enormous difference. All problems of the body remain in the body. The moment I say I am the body, every problem of the body is my body, is my problem. Body is sick. I say, no, I am sick. We'll take a small thing. You should object. Swami, if you say body is sick, if I say body is sick, but the sickness of the body I feel. I clearly feel it. Body is feeling feverish. Body is feeling weak. I feel feverish and I feel weak. How can you deny that I feel it? If I say that. Let me see what answer will you give. Objection is this. Just because I say the body is an object and the problems of the body are problems of the body, not my problems. But when I say I am sick, I am feverish or I am weak, body is feverish, body is weak, but I feel feverish and weak. How will you cut that?
You are identifying with the mind.
With the mind, yes. How do you feel? How do you counteract that?
I feel it, so it is perceived.
Same argument. Correct. Do you feel feverish? Yes.
Yes.
In that, then if you feel feverish, the feverishness is an experience. It's also an object. You are the awareness which is illumining, expressing or manifesting that experience. If you are the witness of that feeling of feverishness, then you are not feverish. Be careful, we are not denying that the body is feverish. We are denying that you, the awareness, you are feverish, that we are denying.
This makes me ask this question. So technically, and I guess this is the reason why they say something. I'll say it a little bit after. Can you ever be affected by anything? Therefore, you can no longer say I feel feverish, but I am feverish. But this goes back to what they said earlier, that Atma, your true self, cannot be affected by this world, cannot be affected by sadness, sickness, or whatever. You're unaffected throughout. So therefore, it kind of makes sense, the reason why you will always only ever experience things, but never are affected by it. Well, you're affected by it. Well, by experiencing it, you're technically being affected by it, but at the same time, no. I suppose the body's being affected by it, but your true self is not. Your true self can never be sick, your true self can never be happy nor sad. I believe so. It's unaffected by the material world. But again, like I said, I was just thinking, can you yourself ever be affected? But if you look at Advaita Vedanta or Brahman and Atman as the pure consciousness, it cannot be affected by, I'll say, the material realm, but cannot be affected by this world because it is, there's that phrasing again, everything is Brahman, including the feverish. So now, whenever I ask that question, to me, it makes sense as to why you are unaffected by this world. But I also have my kind of other theory where we are part of the brain, not the brain. Like a little small thing that's what you call consciousness. And how he was talking here about, I was going to save for the end, but how he's talking here, how, you know, you're never changing, you're always the way you are. And I'm wondering if maybe your brain is kind of like that, where it changes, yes, but because it's kind of like, the best example I can give is a boat. There's a boat that's made in 486 AD, But the boat exists today, looks completely brand new. What has happened is parts of the boat has been replaced. It is no longer the original boat, but it functions and looks exactly the same as the day it was made. There's never been upgraded, but parts have been replaced that was worn. It's still as fast as it's still as fast as it ever was. It still looks like the day it was made. I don't know what else to throw in there, because parts are replaced as needed. How else? I don't know what else to put in there. As parts are replaced as needed and undetected, that the boat looks like it has never changed, but obviously it has. I'm wondering if our consciousness, like in my perspective, or the theory that I have, if our consciousness is just unaware of it, because you cannot be aware of yourself. So therefore, if something of you changes, but it goes unaware, you'll never think that you have ever changed. You're always the same, because even though you yourself has changed, but nothing can witness you changing, not even yourself, then you'd always think to yourself you have never changed. Kind of like the boat example is the best I can do. The boat itself, because it's changed over time and slowly, will never, or it's a bit difficult to put this example out there, because obviously the boat itself is not conscious. And I guess it's kind of like this. You own the boat, and at night you leave, and then whenever you leave, people do the repairs on the boat, and they leave, and then you come back in the morning. But they did the repairs, but you don't notice. Like maybe like things you never noticed before, because everything that you have always looked at that boat, and everything always looks so brand new. 500 years later, you still imagine if you live that long, you're still coming back to it. It's like, man, this boat's always new. It's never changing. No rust, no broken boards, no nothing. You go out, come back, another 1,000 years later, you come back, like, man, this boat has never changed, but you can never witness it. It's the problem. You can never witness the repairs because you are not there, but in the mind, the consciousness cannot witness its own change. But how do I explain that in terms of the brain itself? I guess because we cannot be aware of the physical change in our brain. Like we're not aware of our skins falling off until we can see it and peel it off. We're not aware that our body changes every 7 years, but it does. We're not aware of these things because they're too minute, too little, and we can see it, but we don't see it happen like entire arm just falls off and then grows back. It's not that big of a change. This arm has been replaced however many times, but yet it just grows. Sure, maybe scars happen on it because of whatever happened to it. But other than that, this arm has been with me for however many years. It's been replaced many times, but yet it's still the same arm to me. I don't know what parts are new and what parts are old. I'm not aware of that. Maybe that's a good example. It's the fact that clearly this arm has been replaced, but I'm unaware of its replacement. Maybe it's much like who I think we are in the brain is being replaced, but is unaware of those changes. Again, this is merely a theory that I have. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. And to say about if we are truly Brahman Atman, pure consciousness, I have no proof of that either. But I'm open to both, honestly. And at the same time, whether my theory is true or Advaita Vedanta is true, doesn't really matter. What matters the most is essentially moksha, or enlightenment, truly. So whether you believe in mine or Advaita Vedanta or Buddhism, but as long as you end suffering, that is the whole goal. That's the deal there. So irrelevant of whatever path you follow or what you believe, if that leads you to reduced suffering at the very least, or complete abolishment of suffering, thumbs up. But anyway, this is just merely my theory. I doubt I'll ever discover if that's true or not, because, well, according to Swami Sarvapriyananda here, science has the hard question of consciousness, which is really, really interesting. I never thought scientists would look into that, but I should watch. I don't know why I've been putting it off. But anyway, sorry, let's continue. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there. It's kind of like that. I'm getting a little bit more and more definitions for my own theory on what it is. And my theory, is it going to end my suffering? No. It's not going to change anything, honestly. Just merely, I don't know what's going to do. But, I mean, it's still fun for me, to think about that. But, obviously, the end goal always, no matter what you believe, is the reduction of suffering, if nothing else, complete liberation.
The awareness is not feverish. Subtle point. Difficult. It's actually easiest. If you find it difficult, there are other methods. Those methods are much more difficult. This is easy because it's straight. It tells you the truth. If you can take a stand on the truth, you are free. Adunaiva, right now you will be free of fever. Remember, what I am saying is not that the fever of the body will go down. Body may remain feverish. But you are not feverish.
Okay, yeah, okay. So this kind of, this kind of goes back to the question I had earlier about, do you still suffer? Do you still feel the emotions and all that, like Swami Vivekananda? It's like, yes, but I'm wondering, is there a change? Is there a difference? Yes, this body suffers. Yes, you still feel sad, depressed, angry, happy, whatever it is. The body does. But you are unaffected. Like, that to me doesn't really help. If I were trying to explain that to a person, it's like, yeah, you are unaffected, but your body is crapped out. I am sorry, but you are severely in pain. That's the reason why you're screaming right now. But hey, look, you is unaffected. It's when you think of that is a bit of extreme, but still, it's kind of like how does that help someone? And obviously, that's what he was trying to explain a little bit earlier, but I don't think I got an answer, or maybe I didn't understand it. That's the thing I'm trying to translate, and I think having such a very strong answer to say like, oh, end of suffering, liberation, I think that's great, but I guess to get people on board is to say reduce suffering. At least that's for me. Because I think that's, again, like I said, that's a little bit more of a achievable goal. But I will not deny telling them that, hey, look, this is just mere reduction, but there's ways for complete liberation. If you want to pursue that, here are the books, Advaita Vedanta, Buddhism, whatever it may be. But I think getting them to reduce suffering gives them hope. Hope to at least like, hey, I'm not suffering as much. Maybe I can take this further. Maybe there's a chance, as opposed to like, oh my gosh, it worked a little bit, but I'm not completely, end my suffering. This is not working for me. Promising a little bit too much can be a deterrent to some people, because I guess some people today just kind of gives up a little bit easily. They don't. It's like it has to work 100%. Pills, give them a pill that says enlightenment. They'll take it all day long.
Swami Abhedanandaji, he went to study Advaita Vedanta in Kailash Ashram.
Actually, I'm going to pause it right there and end of this video. So yeah, me talking for a little bit. So yeah, like I say, I realized that you have to give baby steps to people, to a lot of people, and that I think everyone can accept. It's okay, reduce suffering in life. Yeah, shit, I want complete end of suffering, but if I can get at least some reduction of suffering, I'll do it. And that at least to get him into doing perhaps the rest of the training, not my training obviously, but to the rest of understanding the fact that they are unaffected by all this, or they are not the body or the mind, they're not the emotions, and those baby steps will help them along the path of, should they pursue it further, hopefully enlightenment. Because I think any kind of reduction of suffering can help you get enlightenment. Because the whole point of becoming enlightened is the complete reduction or the complete annihilation of suffering. And everything that you do to reduce that suffering is a path towards the complete abolishment of suffering. Anyways, that's the end of part 1 of Swami Sarvapriyananda on Vivekachudamani, Synopsis of Vedanta. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.